Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friendly Show. I am your host and friend, Lee. Okay, so I also want to thank everybody that is here from the First Day Pod. You're not in the wrong place. Mike will not be with us because we're streaming the Friendly Show instead of First Day Pod. But I thought it would be nice just to kind of keep that weekly over there. And thank you to everybody that's watching in the First Day Pod or in the Friendly Show. So I am going to give full disclaimer. I have been running. A friend of mine just sent me a message today and said, I love how you are, that saying that it's better to be playing the game than on the sidelines of life. He says, I love that you are on on the field and in so many different sports uniforms. And he's like, but I don't know if I would want to actually be you and do that many things. Today is one of those days that I wish maybe I wasn't doing so many things, but I seem to be still juggling it all and it's all still really working. But I was not able to do as much research about this topic as I wanted. I also did not um, promote this topic as much as I wanted because I think it's a really, really important one. So who knows? We might bring it back up. We probably will in the next maybe in the next episode, who knows, or in future episodes. Also, do you like my hair just like boring and down like this? I don't know. I'm trying something new just because it's so long for me. Anyway, full honesty, just tell me, does it look like a mop? I don't know. Anyway, Ed is here. Hello, Ed. And hello. I just want to make sure. Last week I was not in Facebook, but it looks like I am here. Oh yeah, Ed's here in Facebook. I just don't know, Ed, if you're in the Friendly Show or First Day Pod. So hopefully it is streaming everywhere it is supposed to. So this week, what we wanted to talk about is how do we go ahead and trust ourselves again? When we're kids, and sometimes, that changes quickly. But when we're born, we trust ourselves. We cry when we need something. If we feel joy, we show that we have joy. If we're sad, we show that we're sad. We trust whatever we need. If we feel hungry, we go and cry to get food. If we have to go potty, we go potty. So we trust ourselves. And that could change very quickly, depending on the environment that we have. Um, but as we age and as we get all of these kind of messages from the outside world, we stop trusting ourselves. And oh, wonderful. Okay. Ed says the friendly link is how I got in. Okay. Awesome. And he also says, your hair is lovely. Another great hair day. Thank you. He's in book club with us and he said, all the ladies had great hair yesterday. We really did. Um, so, okay. So if you are new to the Friendly Show on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, or whatever the conversion is for you, wherever you're listening from, we do a live show and it is my absolute favorite. Sometimes I will do just an audio show, but I always do this live show and it is my absolute favorite because what I do is what I've been doing here with Ed. When somebody is in the comments, I don't field that question or that comment. I just bring them right back up onto the screen and then you or whoever commented is part of the show now. So that's a really fun kind of thing. And what I always say, it's like, imagine you coming over to my house and we're in the living room and I've invited some friends, maybe you've brought some friends and we're all talking about whatever. And it might not stay on that topic. We might end up, somebody else might say, oh, you know what I was thinking? And it will squirrel and go all around because that's how all my conversations usually go with my friends. And so that's what this is. You're in your living room with me and all of us here together. So we're going to start with how do you trust yourselves? Where is it going to go? I don't know. But I think it's going to be a really good topic because I've heard so many people saying, oh man, I know what to do, but I can't trust that it's the right decision. I feel like I know what I want, but I'm not sure. Do I want it or is it, you know, I think I know where I want to go with this, but I don't know. And so like you feel this confidence and then you immediately kind of retract and you're like, "Oh gosh, I don't know. Is it the right decision? Is it the right thing? What's good for me?" And at the end of the day, really, the truth is we're the only ones that really can make that final decision, right? We can gather as much information as we can. We can gather so much information that maybe it'll keep us paralyzed and we won't move forward. But at the end of the day, we're the only ones that can actually take action on any of the decisions that we make. And sometimes people are like, oh, just make a decision. And then that's great. Truth be told, sometimes you can make a decision and still not act on it, and it doesn't matter that you made that decision. It really is the act and taking action. I was looking, I don't think anybody's really talked about, well, who knows? Somebody might have, but I've never heard this, but I think I might have said it before on the show, but half of the word satisfaction is action. If we want life satisfaction, if we want to feel good in life, we need to take action. We need to take action. And trusting ourselves inhibits and prevents us from being able to take that right action and quick action. So, Ed says, before I trust my choice, I need to know my motives first. That's a great starting point, Ed. That is awesome. So, what do you do? Do you ask yourself? Do you write it down? Do you go through your values? Do you ask, like, what does that look like? Because I think it's great, like, when we say these things and then it's like, yes, that's absolutely what we should be doing. But then, like, what does that actually look like? Okay, so quite a few things are popping up. So let's see here. So Josh is here. Hello, Josh. We haven't seen you in a while. I'm so glad that you're here. Got to take action to move forward. Amen. Absolutely. And Mel is here. Hello, Mel. You're not on Facebook. You're on Twitch. Okay. Hey there, lady. um, I'm really happy to see you, Mel, because I thought that you were going to be on the training, the Color Street training. So I was like, oh man, she might not be here, but okay, that's great. Facebook user says hello. So hello. I'm not sure which Facebook user this is, but I'm glad you're here. So if you are watching this in Facebook and you have not allowed StreamYard to see your information, then if you could, if you don't mind, I mean, you can be anonymous. That's pretty cool. FYI, you're not anonymous in Facebook. You're just anonymous to me during the live. Oh, it's Darlene. Hello, Darlene. I haven't seen you either in the last couple weeks. So yes, if you are in Facebook, then you can just like whatever comment you have, you can either start it with like, so for Darlene, she could put like Dar dash or Dar and then her comment or her comment and then Dar or Darlene or whatever you would like. But just so then I know who's here and who's talking. Because whenever you guys do that, I always liken it to you coming to the house and then you have like one of those masquerade masks on. And I'm like, who is this? Well, welcome to the house, but it'd be nice to know who I'm talking to. So Ed says, yes, I ask myself, I meditate, journal, and discuss with trusted people who are not invested in my choice. Oh, that is a good point. That is a really good point because their motives are going to be very different if it's just looking out for you or looking out for their best interests. That's awesome. Dar says, I had a death in the family. Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't see anything about that, Darlene. I'm sorry, honey. My condolences with you and your family. Big hugs. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Let me know how you're doing. And Josh says, taking action is the only way to make changes in your life. Yes. Amen. Absolutely. Okay. So somebody that is not squirrely in here, later on in the show, I want you to ask me about 75 hard. Okay. Because I do want to talk about that because it does go into this trusting yourself, but I don't want to jump into it right now. So, and I will forget. So if somebody could help me out with that, that would be awesome. And Darlene just says, thank you. So you're welcome, sweetheart. Okay. So trusting ourselves. So here's what happened. I heard this just recently, probably in the last, like, I don't know, couple months. And it just hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, that's a big part of why we don't trust ourselves. Even as kids, when we're in school and we have to go to the bathroom and we know we have to go to the bathroom, but like Johnny and Krista and Luke, they all just went to the bathroom. And so now the teacher's like, oh, Leanne, you don't have to go to the bathroom. You stay until recess. You're going to be fine. You're not going. We've already had 3 other kids go, right? And so now, even though you're like, no, I really have to go. And they're like, no, you don't. You're fine. Because they know that recess is going to be in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. Things like that happened all the time when we were growing up. Or it was your parents when you were on a road trip and they were like, no, you can hold it. You can wait. And then you question yourself, maybe even without questioning yourself. And you're like, oh man, do I have to? Maybe I don't. Well, maybe I don't know my body as much as fill in the blank does, as much as adults do, as much as my parents do, as much as my teacher does, right? That eating on schedule, like eating, not, there's no real way of getting around this, I don't think, in schools, but there's lunchtime, right? So there's recess and then there's lunch. And so you could be hungry at 11, but lunch isn't until 12 and you're told you have to eat at 12. Or lunch is at 11:30, you're not hungry. You know you won't be hungry until 1, but you have to eat now. So you're told that you're hungry, right? These kinds of little things you don't think about, but as a child, that's getting programmed into your subconscious that you don't know your own basic needs. And so then you subconsciously question that. And then if you don't, as an adult, start kind of listening to your body, you can start feeling like you have to trust everything to an adult or to somebody else. When I heard that, that just blew my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Like, that's probably a big part of why so many of us do not trust ourselves. The other reason that we don't trust ourselves is because we lie to ourselves all the time. And I'm sorry, but if I had a friend that lied to me every time that they opened up their mouth, then I wouldn't trust them either. Because usually it's not the big lie. Like you can be in a relationship with somebody and you know that they're always honest with you and you know that you have a very trustworthy relationship. And then they're creating like maybe a surprise party for you. And so now they're lying to you for a week or 2 weeks, right? And they have to because it's a surprise party, but you don't know. And then the surprise party comes and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you lied to me all week. I can't believe it." Those lies won't affect you, right? Because you're like, "Okay, I understand what that was," because you've already built that trust with that person, right? Maybe that's a bad example, but it's not one instance of somebody lying to you that you stop trusting them if you've already built a relationship with that person of being able to trust them, right? They have to do something really, really hurtful in order for you to stop trusting them, or a lot of little things that are just like, what? Like, can I even trust a word you're saying? Now, what do we tell ourselves all the time? How many of you guys, and you guys, I'm sure, are sick of hearing me talk about the snooze, but how many of you hit the snooze alarm? How many of you say before you go to bed, you say, I'm going to wake up at 7 or a 6 or 6:30, whatever it is. And even if you're not like, I'm going to wake up at 6:30, you set the alarm for 6:30. So you're telling yourself you're going to wake up at 6:30. And then you hit the snooze. And then you hit the snooze. And then you hit the snooze. And so you don't wake up when you said that you were going to wake up. That's the first time that you lie to yourself. And that's how you start the day. And then you say, last night, you said, today is going to be the day that I am not going to have any sugar. I'm just going to have one day that I'm just not going to eat any sugar. And then you go into the office and then Sandy has that damn bowl of M&Ms. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to do it. It's fine. I told myself I'm not going to have any sugar. So you go to work and that's fine. And you're working and then you have to go to the bathroom. You have to go by Sandy's desk again. And there's the bowl and you just grab one. You grab a handful. Who are we kidding? Well, now you've lied to yourself again. And these are all little things, but you're doing it every single day. And we're just constantly lying to ourselves. So all that chips away at our confidence, all that chips us away at our trust for ourselves, right? So, what are the things that we can do in order to start trusting ourselves? And there's a million examples of how we're not trusting ourselves, how we lie to ourselves, how we manipulate how we look. So, um, for me, I never really truly looked at my body. I'm just being completely honest. This is a brand new thing for me. If you guys are, part of the Facebook group, you know that I'm starting to do experiments where I am in front of the mirror and looking at myself when I get out of the shower and all of myself, not just like look in my eyes and say like, some nice things. I'm looking at myself and I never used to do that. And here's how I know that I never really did that, nor did I accept myself. I didn't have a good vision of who I was. I didn't have a good, what is that called? There's a word for it. Um, Self-image, personal image, body image. I didn't have that because I always thought I was too big. I always thought that I was needed to be on a diet. And that came from when I grew up. My aunts, my mom, every woman was always on a diet around me. It was diet culture. In the 80s, that's what it was. It was diet culture. Like it's still there now, but I think people are kind of like wising up to the fact that like these bad diets are not working. But that was the message that I was getting all the time. And as a child, this is just getting programmed into your body. And so then I never trusted myself. I never looked at myself as a whole and accepted myself. So I never trusted what food would do for me. I never trusted that clothes fit properly. I remember being at one time, like even as an adult, I was a size 6 and I was like, oh, it's just because it's a different brand. They must be like changing the sizing of the brand. No, I had been working out and doing a great job. And I was, not that it matters what your weight is, but I remember even being in that size and not accepting that's who I am because I didn't trust that I had done what I'm supposed to do to be there. It's absolutely fascinating what we do to ourselves. So Ed says, a trusted friend gave me the best advice about my recent move for a new job. I was asked, what is the worst outcome? I thought of a lot of worse things, but in the end, I go back home with a new learning moment. It's not a failure because I took action. There's no regret and hopefully I gave it my best. So then I thought, why not? That is absolutely amazing. Amazing. I'm so proud. Ed, you are doing so awesome. So Ed has like this is a huge huge shift for him. This is not just a new job. This is a new job, a new city, there's so much. I'm so proud of you. And it's not going to be easy. I know it. There's going to be a lot of lonely nights probably and a lot of like questions and a lot of things, but I love that you're able to be so open, honest, and I love that you have that journaling practice too and you're able to tap into how you're feeling and why you're feeling it, and questioning all of that. That's another thing that I don't think that we do enough. We kind of just like feel a feeling and then it's like that's who we are. And we're not questioning why we're feeling these feelings. And we're not like looking at them as if a friend was looking at them. Um, we talk to ourselves the way like I don't even know if people that don't like us would ever even talk to us that way. Maybe like trolling on the internet, like when they're hidden behind um like a different username. But like an actual person that doesn't like you, I can't imagine them coming up to you and saying half the things that we say to ourselves. Like I don't think that happens. I think we talk to ourselves so poorly that how would we trust that? That's not a loving way. We trust people that we love and that we feel love us and that feel like they take care of us and they, have us in their best interest, right? Um, the way that we talk to ourselves is that taking us into our best interest? Not usually, unless we're working on it, unless we're really trying um, to make that effort. And now, I'm also going to, unless other comments come up, which is always, you guys know, my favorite. So just interrupt me, please. Because even if we were in my living room, I would also be like, all right, that's fine. Let's move on to something else. Oh, and I want to give a disclaimer because we're already 20 minutes into this show. And I always give this disclaimer at some point through the show. And here it is. I am not a healthcare professional in any way. I am not a mental health professional. I'm not a therapist, counselor, or anything of the sort. So anything that you hear on the show that I say or that I bring up from any of the viewers or friends of the show, it is here for pure entertainment. So anything that you hear that you're like, oh, that might be me. This one's a little bit less treatmenty. There it's a little bit less clinically. Sometimes we have shows that are a little bit more, like they're deeper, and so they're more mental health related. This one is still mental health, but if you hear of anything that you're like, "Yeah, that might be me," or "Maybe I should really look into this," and you feel like you need to speak to a healthcare professional, I highly recommend it. Don't take this as that advice. Okay, so that's it. Um, which now I've squirreled and I don't know really where I was going with that. Um, okay. So I did do some research, and if anybody remembers what I was about to say or how I started that, please let me know. But I did have a couple things that I did like just some a quick research about things that we can do so we can start trusting ourselves again. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Yes, because this says tell yourself that you are enough and start believing it. Um, starting with something that's just like kind of simple. So now, here's the thing. It reminds me of affirmations, and my cousin I don't know if my cousin's watching, but if he is, hello. It's been fascinating because my cousin, he lives in Arizona. We talk periodically, but we haven't really seen each other or hung out like a really good hangout, in years, and we just saw each other, unfortunately, at a family funeral. I hate it when those things are the reason why we get together, but then I'm also so grateful, that it does that, right? Life is so busy, and then sometimes that's the silver lining on it. So I got to kind of rekindle with him, and it was really cool. And this was fascinating because we've actually been on a very similar path with our personal development. And so today he was sending me this app that he uses. It's called the I Am app, and it's a an affirmation app. And so it sends you affirmations. You can choose what types of affirmations you need or want. And you can program it with your name. So then the AI of it can like say, Leanne, you are enough or whatever. Anyway, it's a really great app. I think it's only like $2 or $3 a month for it. And it comes through your text. So it's always kind of right there. No, not through your text, through an app. Um, so it's really, really cool right on your phone and you get to see them. Now, what this reminded me of is affirmations work, but I would rather the gateway to, trusting yourself not be an affirmation that you don't believe. I would rather that it was, I would rather that it was more of telling yourself that you're going to do something and let it be small and do it. And then tell yourself you're gonna do something else and then do it. And so an example of that is not hitting the snooze, setting your alarm for the time that you actually have to get up and then get up. Um, telling yourself that instead of I'm not gonna have any sugar tomorrow, if you've been having sugar for your entire, nutrition, um, instead say, I'm going to have eggs for breakfast, and then have eggs for breakfast, and then decide what you're gonna have for lunch, and then say that you're gonna do that, and then do that. So, have these little micro, promises to yourself, and then keep those promises. And then as you're building that relationship with yourself and that trust with yourself, then I think you can start bringing in affirmations, or you can create affirmations that you believe now. But I think it's hard when you have lied to yourself for so long and then somebody tells you, "Go ahead and tell yourself an affirmation that you have $1,000,000 in your bank account," when you are in the deficit and you are like struggling to pay the next bill. That's hard, and really you're lying to yourself right now. Now, with quantum physics, we know that everything that we need is here. But that is so like high level that if you can't even keep the promise to yourself that you're going to wake up when you wake up, it's going to be really hard to believe those things. So if you can start doing those little promises, keeping those promises, then when you start making the affirmations that are maybe a little bit of a stretch from where you are, but you know that that is possible for you, it'll be easier for you to start believing those affirmations, right? So that might be, I don't know, people might not like the fact that I said that. I used to be like all about affirmations and just like, kind of fake it till you make it, but I don't think that helps the whole trust issue, to be quite honest. Um okay, so Ed says, What you said about body image and trust is so true and horribly sad. If we see ourselves as large or not right sized, it is easy to see ourselves or myself as lazy or a failure. What is worse is this is how I see myself at times. I'm working really hard on this. My value or trust has nothing to do with how I look. I know this, but I still need reminding. Yes. Amen. And did that come out as amen? I don't know. But amen. And I think a lot of us are here, Ed. I mean, I know that I'm with you. I am like, you are my brother in that. Like, we are, it is such a struggle. It just is. And it's been so much programming um, that it's hard. But this exercise that I've been doing of looking myself in the mirror, and it's not looking myself in the mirror and saying that I love all of the things that I'm seeing, because quite frankly, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like, what happened? But what I tried to tell myself, which is absolutely true, is I will look at the parts that I don't like, and then I will say, you know what? You can make choices. The choices that you made got you here, and you can make choices to get you to wherever you want to be. But for right now, this is your body. Right now, these legs that you might not love the way that they look, they are walking you through life. These arms, even though you might not look like the way they look, especially when you're waving and you can see the things underneath there, not fun as a lady. Um, but you know what? They're still great for hugging. They're still great for loving people. So that's what I try to remind myself. And it can sound woo-hooey. I don't care. It can sound whatever it sounds like. But those are all true things. And if we can start just telling ourselves the truth in these little things, I really do believe, because I have seen it firsthand for myself. Because I've talked about this before, marathon training, if you can stick to a schedule. And so with anything, and so yes, Ed, I see that you're saying 75 hard, so I'll just get into that right now. Um, and another Facebook user says hello. So hello, Facebook user. Again, if you want to put your name in there, I'll know who you are. But if not, hello. So um marathon training or 75 hard. Marathon training, when I did that, that's where I really started building my confidence. And it was not because of the way my body looked. And it was not because I did the marathon. I built the confidence before I did the marathon. I built the confidence because I had a schedule that I wanted to commit to. And I told myself, no matter what, and now it's easy for me because I was walking all of it, right? So it wasn't like I was, like, really jarring my body or anything was, like, really, really hard. They were just longer walks or shorter walks or faster walks or slower walks or whatever the schedule said. But I promised myself that whatever the schedule said, I would do it. So every single night before I went to bed, I would look at my schedule, and I never looked too far in advance because it was months. And I never looked too far in advance. I only looked for tomorrow. What do I have to do tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm gonna have to run or walk. Let's say let's say it's an easy one. Let's say it's 4 miles. Okay. And I know that it takes me about 15 minutes to walk 4 mile or to walk 1 mile. So it's going to take me about an hour to walk the 4 miles. So I would look at my schedule and be like, where can I fit that in? And I would put it in my calendar. And no matter what, I would do that. 7 o'clock at night comes around, and that's the time that I put in there. And um, there is rain, there is hail. It didn't matter. I walked in hail, I walked in rain, I walked in snow, I walked in everything. There was one day I think that it was lightning and it was dangerous, and so, I did not go out for the walk, and so I walked around my house, and that was super boring, but I did it, and I kept my promise, and so it was literally daily keeping my promise, and so maybe a month in, I could feel my confidence increase. So with 75 hard, I tried it before, and I was in a real when I tried it the last time, I wasn't working out at all. I wasn't eating well at all. I wasn't sleeping well at all. I didn't have any of these kind of things in place. And it was a literally all or nothing. So if you guys don't know what 75 hard is, it's this program um, that it's got an app. And so you just say whether or not you did the things that you said that you were going to do. And the things are 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outside and they both have to be separate. So you can't do an hour and a half at the gym and call it a day. You have to do 45 minutes outside. And then later, you have to do another 45 minutes of whatever. You have to read 10 pages a day. You take a progress picture of yourself every day. What are the other things? You stick to a diet. Now, it doesn't have to be a fad diet. It just has to be whatever you say it's going to be, just to keep your word to yourself. That's not the reason why they do it, but that's the reason why I really am liking this. And then no alcohol, no cheat day. Okay. So I think that's it. There might be something else I'm missing. If I am, let me know what that other thing is. Um, so I really tried to do this, and it was, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years ago, something like that. It was hard, and I did it, I don't know how long I got to it, maybe 25 days in or 30 days in, maybe not even that long, maybe longer, I have no idea, but I remember it was a struggle the whole time, and what I was doing is I was not getting my sleep. I was sleeping like 2, 3, 4 hours a night because I was trying to fit everything else in, and then I was like, "This is crazy. That's not healthy. That's not even worth what I'm doing," so then I stopped. Now, without even really realizing it, because I've done all of this very slowly, um, I have created a pretty good sleep habit. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm pretty good that I get up around the same time every morning. Today was a perfect example, you guys. I was so proud of myself. I woke up in the morning at, I thought, 1:24. My clock said 1:24, and something told me, look at the alarm and see what the alarm is set for. I don't know why I did that. That was so weird to do that. Normally I would have just went back to bed and been like, that's weird, go to sleep. But I looked at it and then it said 12:00. So that meant that, like, oh shoot. Now, you guys know I squirrel all over the place. So I have an alarm clock that's plugged into the wall. I thought it had batteries in it. It did, but they were so dead. They were like zero when we looked at the volts. It was like nothing. So it was like dead as a doornail. So we must have lost a little bit of power and it just like wiped out my alarm clock. And so I was like, oh, shoot, I don't even know what time it is. And I don't have a clock in my room other than that clock. And my phone's downstairs. So I go downstairs again, weird why I did it. But I went down and it was 6:02 and I had to be out of the house by 6:10 to make it to the walk. It was so cool that my body got me up at that time. So I've gotten in a pretty good habit of that. I try to get to bed between 10 and 11. And so now my circadian rhythm is somewhat on track, but I've been working on that, guys, for a year probably. Also, I've been doing this workout where I've been walking at least 4 or 5 times a week every morning for about an hour to an hour and a half, usually an hour and a half, sometimes even longer. So now this doesn't seem to be as difficult, but what it is going to take is for discipline, and it's going to take me to make all of these promises to myself every day. And they're going to be like 8 promises. Did you read? Okay, I'm going to read and I'm going to read at this time. And then you actually do it and you're like, check, did it. Right? I'm going to do a walk outside. Check, did it. I'm going to stick to the diet of like whatever nutrition I decide to do. Check, I did it at breakfast. Check, I did it at lunch. Check, I did it at dinner. Check, I did it intermittent fasting. Check, I did my water. Check, I did. And see how I'm like doing all of these checks? And so now I'm just like, wow, when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. Wow, maybe I'm starting to trust myself. And that's how it happens. And that's why I'm doing 75 hard. Some people do it and they like, especially males, because it's very like masculine, this challenge. They'll do the progress pictures because from day 1 to day 75, if you're doing those 2 workouts and you're sticking to a pretty like clean diet, then your body will change. It just will. 75 days is like 2.5 months, right? Your body will change. And so sometimes it's drastic. Will my body change drastically? I don't even know. I think so, but I don't even know. But what I'm excited about the progress picture is that is going to be looking at myself in the mirror and, I'm going to have the same outfit on every single time because I do want to see the progress. But what I chose is this pair of shorts. This is so silly, but this pair of shorts that I hate the way my body looks in it. And I want to wear them not to berate myself, but so I can start accepting myself in those shorts. It sounds so silly, but that's what that part of the challenge is for me. So I'm really, really excited. So Ed, thank you so much for bringing that up. But that challenge is going to be how I am consistently building my confidence in myself and my trust in myself. So Ed also says, this is an example how much I know my own body. I was changing my shirt and my son asked me how I got these big scratches on my belly. I had no idea I had any scratches. These scratches were more than 4 inches long and had dried blood. So, no, I do not look at my body. Ed, okay, so do you want to start doing this experiment? It's it's fascinating. It is not a fun experiment in the beginning. I think I told you guys like in the Facebook group, I cried the first time. It was so hard to like just look at yourself because I also set a timer. I can't remember if I set the timer for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Difficult. Difficult. Because like the first 30 seconds, you're just like, and I'm done. But then it's like, oh my gosh, I still have 2.5 minutes left or 4.5. I can't remember what it was. Um, but then it becomes easier because then you're just like, man, I'm not scared of you. Look at you. You've gotten me through all of these years up until this point. Like for the majority of us that are watching here, it's been 30, 40, 50, 60 years that our body got us to this point, this same body, which to me is fascinating. Like, how many cars have we been through between the time that we started driving to now? How many cars did we, and cars are like amazing machines. And how many did we roll over? How many anything did we have to redo and get a new one and get a new this and get a new that? But this body, this mind, this brain, we've had the same one since we were born. Sure, we might have a couple parts that are a little bit, updated or changed. Our knees might be a little bit different for some of us. Sure, all those things, that's fine. But our actual vessel, our actual body and brain, we've had that our entire life and it brought us to this point. Like that is pretty spectacular. Um, so Ed says, it does not sound silly, but I would buy new shorts. Well, I don't wear them out. And actually, this is something that's sad. When I look back at pictures, I actually did not wear shorts. There was a big part of my um 20s, even 30s that I never wore shorts. It would be, and I sweat. You guys know, like if you guys have ever seen me in the summer, I am a sweater. Like I'm actually right now, for some reason, I'm like sweating. So, and it's fine in here and I have water. There's no reason why I should be sweating. Um, so I'm a sweater. But in the heat of August, it was not just until the last couple years that I started wearing shorts. I would never show my legs ever. I would wear capris because my ankles were fine. So I would wear capris. So then I would have a little bit of airflow around my ankles. So it wasn't like killing me. And I would wear sandals. So then I wasn't like, it's not like I was wearing like, big clunky shoes and, army pants or something. But I was only showing my ankles. I wouldn't show my legs for years and years. And I look back at pictures and I'm like, how, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? But that was part of my shame. Like I just always thought I was too big to wear shorts. Um, so yes, I do. Since then, I have bought other shorts and some that I actually really love that I think I look really cute in them. But these shorts, every time I think about putting them on, um, I don't like them. I don't like them. And I know why because of where it cuts me. I can see my love handles and it's just they're not flattering. Um, but here's the thing. Yes, buy clothes that flatter you. Yes, absolutely. Buy colors that enhance your eyes. Yes. Buy clothes, that make you feel good. 100% I completely agree. Like buy the new thing. Um However, with this one, this is just a thing that I want to do to challenge myself because it shouldn't be the shorts. I shouldn't have that visceral of an feeling when I look in the mirror at those shorts. I should be able to just say those shorts are not a good choice, right? But it's never the shorts' fault. Now it's starting to be. I put them on this morning and I was like, this is absolutely the shorts' fault. like not mine. But for years, and I've had these shorts for probably, I don't know, well over 8 years, maybe even 10. And they are perfectly new. If you saw them, you'd be like, oh my gosh, those are like brand new. Because every time I put them on, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you look awful. You look awful. That's how I talk to me because I'm my best friend and that's how I talk to my best friend. Isn't that cute? Oh, you're disgusting. I'm disgusting. Not the shorts, not the stupid cut of the shorts, but me. Like, how messed up is that? You guys listening to me, all of you guys, we're all friends here on the Friendly Show. I'm sure you're listening and you're like, come on, Leanne, you know? But that's how we talk to ourselves, and that's how what we believe of ourselves. I would never trust somebody that talked to me like that. I just wouldn't, you know? So, okay, so anyway, long-winded Lee is here. Okay, so what are some of the other things that they suggest? Tell yourself the truth with compassion. We've kind of already been there. Spend time alone with yourself. That's a really big one. A lot of times now I love alone time, but I didn't always love it. And I didn't know that I didn't love it, but I would always fill my time with either other people or the majority of the time with work. So I didn't realize how much trauma I had. I didn't realize how much stuff I was hiding and holding down and not liking about myself. I thought my work ethic was something to be proud of. And I'm learning that my work ethic, although it is something to be proud of, um, it has also been a defense mechanism. So, some people, always need to be in front of the TV or they need to be with people all the time. Me, it was work. And because I didn't want to be alone by myself, probably because then there were these not fun thoughts. And who would want to, seriously, who would want to hang out with somebody that's always telling them that they're ugly and that they're gross and that they're not worth anything and that they're not going to accomplish anything? And anything that they have had up until this point was a fluke and can be taken away at any time. There's a little tap into where my mind has been. And those are all things that I have had to work very hard to, I want to say, I would love to say to get rid of, but they still pop up and really easily. But I'm able to um, be aware of the fact that those are not the truth when they come up. And that's a long way from where I was even just 6 months, a year ago. And so who would want to be with that type of person? So yeah, you keep yourself busy. So what they're suggesting, and I highly agree, is spending time by yourself. And that's what that alone time for me in front of the mirror is. Even if it is only 3, 5 minutes, it feels like a long time. And it is really vulnerable with yourself. So pretty cool. Okay, so Ed also says one funny story about body image. I was in an interview at uh close to my heaviest. During the interview, the chair I was sitting on broke. The irony is I was hired for the job. Maybe it was a way for me to repay for the chair. That's so funny. You're hilarious. Oh my goodness. So, okay, how did you handle that when it broke? That I'm very curious about. I've broken a chair before. I've broken a few chairs actually before. So sometimes it has nothing to do with our weight, but that would be really, really uncomfortable, especially if you were concerned about your weight and subconscious about your weight. So I'm curious how you handled it because that would be really probably what was impressive to them. But I'd like you to share that if you're open. And Sound Guy 1337 is here. I'm not sure who you are, but it sounds like you're new. So hello and welcome to the Friendly Show. If you are new and you weren't here at the beginning of the show, welcome to my living room. So you say that affirmations are a great reminder of your values. Sometimes you lose your way throughout the day and need a little tap on the shoulder. Absolutely. And that app, so I don't know. Is this my cousin? It might be. I don't know. Um, but that is a really great reminder. Like that app that I was telling you guys about, is a really great thing because it does kind of bring you back and losing your way. It's so interesting. Thank you so much, Sound Guy, for sharing that. Because I think now that we're all aware of it, now that we're all in this room together and we're all sitting on the couch and we're all talking about this, we cannot leave this room together without being aware of the fact that we have lied to ourselves this much. Sometimes we're just not even aware of it. Um, or we're like, oh, I've lost my way so far, like Sound Guy says, that you just don't even know how to get back or even where back is, right? So these affirmations can kind of guide you back that way. And so popping it up, even if you decide that you don't want to buy that app, I have no affiliation with the app, by the way. Um, but even if you decide that you don't want to buy the app, you could set yourself little reminders in your phone that pop up, calendar event reminders or um, alarms on your phone that give you these little affirmations. And if you're new to affirmations, they don't have to be like I am worthy or I am prosperous or I am, everything I've dreamed of and more. Like they don't, I mean, I shouldn't be using that voice because those are great, but they don't have to be that. You can just say, I am proud of myself for the decisions that I'm making and the lessons I'm learning for the decisions I'm not proud of. Right? So you can be proud of even if you weren't proud of the decision you made, you can be proud of the lessons that you're learning in those decisions. Like you can sit down and write yourself some affirmations that make sense for you right now. And then if they start popping into whether you're writing them out or um the little tap on the shoulder, that is it sounds like Sound Guy, you have them coming in as either an app or as a reminder. When those are coming in, if you're not feeling those anymore, they're not doing anything for you, then you can switch them up. Maybe you have to elevate a little bit more because maybe you're a little bit more aware now. Sound Guy also says the app is free on iOS at least, just in app purchases. Yeah, not on Android. Android it is you can have so this must be Rune, is this you? Let me know. If not, hello anyway, Sound Guy. Um, the, um the app is not free on, whatchamacallit, on Android. It's free for the first 3 days, so they get you going and they get you excited, and then you've gotta pay. But like I said, it's only 2 or $3. I can't remember how much it is. So really worth what that can do for our worthiness, for our trust in ourselves, for our confidence, for just our peace of mind too. Sound Guy says their notifications I get every couple hours. That's awesome. Very, very cool. And yeah, if so in that app, the I Am app, you can set it up that you can get as little or as much as you want. So you can get up to, I think, 20 a day, and you can set the parameters of when they come in, which is really, I thought that was a really cool part. So if you're like, hey, I'm pretty good when I'm at work because I have like on my desk and on my computer, I've got all of the post-its that I'm always looking at. And that feels really good. But my problem is maybe when I get home or right before I go to bed or whatever, you can set the times of when those alarms are going to kind of come out. Those notifications are going to come out. So that app is really slick. I really like it. So, Rune, if you're listening to this, if you're a Sound Guy, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And if not, that's cool. So, Ed says, I just stated they don't make Oh, I just stated they don't make chairs like they used to. We laughed, then I moved on. I don't know how I did not get embarrassed and stuck in shame. I just felt I needed to make the choice to stay present and not in my mind. Boom. When was this interview? Like that you've been doing so I know that Ed, you've been doing like the personal growth journey for many, 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 many years. I've only known you for how many years have we known each other? 4 years? 5 years? 4 years? And I've seen you grow so much through that. So that is like that's a huge thing. That is really, really cool. And that's proof that when we have this shame, when we have this embarrassment about stuff, they're lies. They're lies. We should, I hate the word should, but if this is the way that I look at it, if we are not going to feel that shame always, if there are times that we're able to look in the mirror or look at a picture of ourselves and not have that shame, then the shame is a lie. And usually it is, right? Um, then it's a lie. And so we should not be listening to it or believing it whenever it pops up. It was funny because even with my weight, if I had a day that I was eating really good and I had done all kinds of cardio, and usually like my cardio is not, I was never really the person that would be on the treadmill all the time. My cardio was, I would go for a walk and then somebody else would be like, "Hey, do you want to go for a walk?" And I'd go for another walk and I'd be 20, 30,000 steps into the day. And if I did that and I drank all my water and I got my sleep and I woke up the next morning, I'd feel really good. And then if the next day I didn't get any of my sleep because I was working through the midnight hours till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 6 o'clock, didn't sleep. So then because I didn't sleep, I ate like shit and then I didn't drink any of my water. So I was dehydrated and I felt awful. Then I'd be like, oh my God, you're disgusting, Leanne. Like you're just so big and gross and like tired and you look like a sloth. And like I'd have all these words that would come out. Meanwhile, 18 hours prior, it would be like this bad TV show that it would like do a flashback and be like 18 hours prior, looked like she was totally different, but you weren't. So if you can look at yourself and not feel major shame, especially in moments like that, Ed, breaking a chair, like even if you had no issues, like I've never been to a point where I was just like always like in really great shape. So I would always, I'm sure, be embarrassed if I broke. And every time that I did break the chair, I always was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then think that it was because whatever. Anyway, um, sidebar. So, but if you don't have shame in that moment, then we know that it's a lie. And I'm so proud of you that you were able to just to pick up that way. So let me get back to where we are. So Kelly, I joined the podcast late, but I think I caught on to what you're talking about. Whenever I catch myself saying something negative about myself, I immediately follow up by telling myself I either say why that it isn't true or that it might be true, but why it's okay. Learning to give myself grace to not be perfect has been a game changer. That is amazing, Kel. Okay, so I'm going to keep that up for a quick second because there's a few things in there. So, yeah, basically, the topic today is how do we trust ourselves again? So, I don't know. I think it's been a pretty good show. I've learned a lot from it and I'm enjoying it. So I hope that you guys are too. I do love the part where you say, if I say something negative about myself, I immediately follow up by telling myself that either it wasn't true, because usually it is. A lot of the times it is. But if it is true, it might be true and why it's okay, giving yourself that grace. Because here's the other thing, let's not lie to ourselves. There's some times, and there's a lot of times that I have not done the work that I needed to do. So for instance, let's say this podcast, let's say you guys didn't show up. Okay. So there was nobody in the comments and it was just me. And I just had the little bit of research I did because I've been super busy and I didn't do the prep for it that I wish I would have. And then the podcast just wasn't a great episode. It was one of those things that it just wasn't good. And then I'm like, oh, that wasn't great. And then I start kind of like getting down on myself. But the truth is, it was not great. And why was it not great? It was not great because I didn't prep for it. I should have been prepared, not should have, but I could have been prepared for it. And if I lied to myself and was like, no, that's a lie, it was great, and it wasn't, again, how are you going to trust yourself? So it's okay to say, hey, but you know what? Your choice this week was for you to focus on your client work. Your choice this week was to fill in the blank of all the things that you chose to do instead of prep for this, and give yourself grace. So, Kelly, I absolutely, absolutely love that part because, yeah, it's not that we tell ourselves that we're great all the time, because it would be nice if we gave ourselves, if we did our best all the time. But quite frankly, we don't do our best all the time. Or maybe I'm just speaking for myself. Maybe you do. And if you do, way to go. I'm so proud of you, because that's all that we can do is our best. And that's not perfection. That's just our best for that day. But I know I mail it in a lot and I don't do what I need to do. every day, all day, right? So Ed says, we have known each other for 4 years. This happened 1998. Wow. Okay. I worked for J&J, then left to go to pharmacy school. No way. Okay. That's so fascinating. Like to be 1998 and for you just to be able to be like you're at your heaviest that you've been, and yet you're just able to say, "Oh, they don't make chairs like they used to," and then go on with your day or on with your interview. That is so cool. I'm so proud of you. Okay. So, let me go back and see if there was anything else, and then we will kind of wrap up. I want to see if I made any other things that I thought were good. Um, okay, so the other part was setting boundaries based on your personal needs. Okay. So I just wanted that was the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about. We need to realize, and maybe this isn't exactly for the set the boundaries for your personal needs, but this is what I thought of when I read when I read that part. When we are saying that we're going to do something, so you know how I was saying like the biggest way for us to trust ourselves again is to have all of these micro promises to ourselves and then actually keep them. Figure out what those promises are. And like Ed said at the top of the hour, why are you doing that thing? Why are you like, what is your motive behind it? So sometimes, like, a perfect example is the 5 a.m. club. I was a sucker for that. I read the book and then I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, even though I knew I always worked until at least 11 o'clock. I was doing something until 11. So that meant I was only getting 6 hours of sleep. But I would always do the 5 a.m. and it never worked out because I always felt like shit because I didn't get my sleep. But then I was like, okay, I did it. And so it was like, check, I did 5 a.m. club. Look how awesome I am. Oh, I'm part of that stupid club. Like, it's not stupid. If you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you feel good about it, that's awesome. But the motive was to do it because I thought I should do it. That would make me more successful because I thought that's what successful people do. You know, do all your work before people get even into work. Like all of this stuff, right? That didn't make me feel good, and even though I was keeping that promise, that didn't feel good because I wasn't keeping a promise that I needed. The promise to myself, even though I said I wanna wake up at 5 o'clock and I did it, I knew that I was hurting myself, and so that was me going against my personal needs. I knew I was tired, I knew I was grumpy, I knew that I was irritable with my family and my friends, that's not okay, and I felt bad all day, but I checked off that one little thing at the beginning of the day. So if I would have looked at it like, "Okay, you know what? This sounds really good, like, that's really cool, but that doesn't fit in line with me." And or I have to try to adjust if 5 o'clock is something that's important to me, why is it important? And if I choose that it is, then I have to go to bed earlier because sleep is also important. And honoring my body of what my body needs is way more important than doing what other people are saying is important. So, yeah, I think this is going to be really exciting. If you guys are not in the Facebook group, please come on over. It is so good. And I just want it to get better. I want you guys to be sharing what you're like gathering from this little chat in my living room. And what are you going to do this week? So, what are you going to do to create this trust with yourself, to create a better relationship with yourself, something that you can be feeling like you want to be best friends with that person that's looking back at you in the mirror, you know, and all it takes is these little promises and then just keeping them. So I would love to hear about it. At the top of the podcast next week, we'll all kind of like chime in if you want, and you can share how this little experiment went for you this week. I'm not sure about the topic for next week. One of Actually, you know what? This is what we are going to do for the topic for next week. Somebody in our book club, Patrick, he suggested the importance of self-expression. Is it important? Is it not? And how important is it? So the importance of self-expression, that will be the topic for next week. So I would love to hear your thoughts. It is not the same if you are not here. So you're invited back every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central. I love you guys so much. Big, big hugs. And I will talk to you soon. Love you. Oh, wait. This is what I do every show. Every show. Some people will get off because I just said bye, but now we have another comment and I want to bring it back up. It's like we're walking out the door. If you guys know me, you come to my house, we say goodbye, and then I go out to the front porch and then we have another 20-minute conversation. So Ed says, this is the best part. Oh gosh. Okay. So I didn't even, like I said, I hear the comment or I see the comment and I bring it up without fielding it. And see how weird I get? I'm like, oh, that's a compliment for me and the podcast. Let's not share that. Leanne, get it together. This is the best podcast I did today. By the way, today I succeeded twice at not people pleasing. What? Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. One was actually making an alternative request from a customer service agent. Instead of returning items, getting new items and installing it myself, I got a technician to come and set it up. Dude, amazing. Okay, I am so proud of you. That's awesome. We're doing a little kind of win. So what we do in our book club is we do a little win at the very beginning. I do this in all of them. I have masterminds and we share a little win first. Any meeting that I organize, I always start with a little win because I think it's so important. I don't think that we do that enough. And that should have been part of this topic is really sharing our wins, like with ourselves and with others, but especially with ourselves. And so sometimes it's nice just to reflect on a win that happened, right? Like before you go to bed, think about a win that like, oh man, that felt really good. Like I'm really proud of myself for doing that. But what's also really cool, or when you wake up in the morning and be grateful and happy about that win. But what is also cool is telling yourself what you want your win to be. So, like, okay, next week on Wednesday, my win, what I want to really focus on is I'm going to keep track of how many promises I keep to myself. That's the win that I'm going to celebrate. So, whether that is I kept 2 promises to myself, I'm going to celebrate it. Or I kept 50 or I kept 13. It doesn't matter, but you can like be intentional now with the win that you want to celebrate in the future. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway. Okay. And then Sound Guy says a third part about sleep habits and oversubscribing yourself. I do this too. I usually chalk it up to my tendency of unrelenting standards. Yes. But after reading the book Boundaries, I see this as, oh my gosh, I love this. I don't know who this is, but it definitely you also if you are not my cousin, you should meet my cousin because you sound just like him. And the fact that you're like doing these comments as so it wasn't 1/3, it was this is the first of 3 messages and this is the second one. So it said, I see this as a breach of boundaries by myself or because I let others breach them. I found that I need to be cognizant of my limits and be okay with enforcing them. That part right there, I need to be okay with enforcing them, even if I disappoint others. Amen. Because isn't it fascinating? And it's totally okay if they disappoint us. We're fine with that, but we can't disappoint other people. Good one. And then, but I know that I'll never disappoint myself because I adhered to my boundary and put my mind, body, and soul first. Boom. That is a great way to finish this podcast. You guys, Sound Guy, thank you so much for being here. I love it. I hope you come back next week. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for this. It's starting to get chilly. We're out on my porch right now. It's starting to get chilly because we just finished this podcast 5 minutes ago, but we're still chatting. So go home, be safe. I love you. And I will see you either in the Facebook group or back here on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Love you. Bye.